Frank's Red Hot is the perfect blend of flavor and heat, so you can use an entire bottle to make recipes like buffalo chicken dip or buffalo nachos, or even things that don't start with buffalo. Frank's Red Hot, I put that on everything.
Hey, Craig!
Craig. Right or wrong, we don't care. Win or lose, we don't care. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey!
Many times the bullshit taketh, but sometimes the bullshit it giveth.
It giveth.
And on Saturday it gaveth.
It definitely gave it, which was so fantastic. Oh, like I'm sure you were in the same spot, and I'm guessing most of our fans were in the same place, where when Ron Stone got that first down, it was like, okay, this might be our day. We might actually get this one. Although then I started talking myself into the other way, which was, it would be perfectly Cal bullshit if we got a first down like this and then somehow screwed this up. So it ended up working out.
Yeah, that whole drive was like, you guys score a touchdown. But
yeah,
this is podcast versus everyone. Happy celebratory football victory edition.
Feels so good.
Episode 136. I'm Craig Powers. With me is Jeff Newser. We don't have to talk about a second half collapse tonight.
Nope.
I've been real sick of talking about that, but no collapse from the defense in the second half. Offense kind of more the same, but the defense held strong against what had been a pretty decent Cal offense before. I'd say like a middle of the road offense. And they just completely shut Chase Garbers down. Made him very uncomfortable, and he is their offense. Running on the ground, throwing in the air, and 6 point it was kind of when they gave up that drive touchdown to answer WSC's opening touchdown right away. It's like, okay, here we go.
Yeah,
like because Cal scored like pretty easily, and moved down pretty easily and scored, and you're like, oh no. Here we go, but they didn't give up much after that. Cal did get deep into Cougar territory a couple times in the second half, but fourth downs shut them down. And often it was because of the pressure they were getting on Chase Garbers, and that was just so fun to watch. It's so fun to watch the defense, not wilt. But I will say, that second half, I was trying to push myself to enjoy it because I kept. You have this like the sinking feeling that the bad thing is going to happen. This next drive is when it's all going to fall apart. This next drive, but it just never fell apart, and they kept it up, and the offense did just enough. And it was good to have Delora back there at quarterback. He definitely made some plays and avoided some plays that maybe would have happened with Garantano or Cooper in there. So. Overall, what a good feeling to go win in a place of horrors, man.
Yeah, I mean, we hadn't won there since 2013, and that 2013 game was kind of weird in and of itself. Like, I don't know how many of our fans remember that, but we went down there, and if I remember right, I know we won the game by about 3 touchdowns. If I remember right, Cal actually outgained us in that game. Yep. And they had I want to say like 2, maybe 3 fumbles in the red zone, that we recovered. And I, at the time, so this was, Leach's second year. I know, like at the time I was in a space where I was just literally looking for any sign that we were, essentially getting over the hump, right? Because we were promised very large things with Mike Leach, and that first season was pretty awful, right? And so that second season, it kind of felt like, all right, we got things going in the right direction. There was that game, there was, the USC game, and just kind of like, all right, we're kind of moving. And so I think I sort of talked myself into, that game maybe being a little more repeatable than it probably was. I like to think I'm a little smarter now. This game certainly seems like maybe we're finally moving in the right direction, especially with the defense. I got to own it a little bit. A week ago I kind of poo-pooed the defense a little bit just because they, yes, they only held Utah to 17 points, but I talked about how, the turnovers were maybe a little fluky. Not that they didn't, make a good play or whatever, but it's not really sustainable to expect your opponent to put the ball on the ground 7 times a game. That's not really a repeatable, reproducible defensive strategy. And, in this game, they really kind of won it. The rush defense especially was fine. Like, it wasn't, super dominant. But it was certainly good enough. And it put Cal into quite a few, passing downs, like more passing downs. Cal faced more passing downs than any of our opponents so far this year. USC was close, but it was right around 40%. The difference between USC and Cal obviously is USC, has ridiculous amount of talent at wide receiver and can throw the ball whenever they want. Cal is not there, and we made Garbers look pretty bad, which was a little bit surprising. I mean, not like altogether surprising because I'm not sure I'm totally convinced he's all that good, but he looked very bad, and I'm not sure I believed in our ability to make anybody look bad, and so that was pretty neat to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, they were in passing downs a lot, and obviously the defensive coaching staff had identified that maybe Garbers cannot handle pressure all that well, because on those third and longs, they were bringing guys. They were bringing 5 or 6 guys consistently. And even when they didn't, they seemed to be mixing it up a little bit enough to that, they were basically using 4 edge rushers as, like the Seahawks used to do when they had all those, the Michael Bennett and everyone on the defensive line. They would have that Cadillac package, and they would just bring in like nothing but pass rushers. And they did that. They did that on obvious passing downs, and it worked out really well. Even if they weren't blitzing hard, the speed of those edge rushers getting by in the middle was creating havoc, and that's something we like to say is havoc. And Garbers just did not handle it well, and they did a really good job. He got loose for a few runs, but you could tell the linebackers were keyed in on making sure that he could not get out. And he was unable, except for maybe once, I think, he was able to run for a first down on a scramble. But for the most part, if he took off, they were able to stop him short of the line on third down. And their average third down, 3rd and 8.3. You love to see that. Just getting them into tough situations over and over again. And then giving up 4 yards an attempt on those third downs. So that that's how they end up with a third down conversion rate of 3rd and 15. And that's how ultimately WSU kept getting off the field. And then when Cal went to go for it on 4th, WSU didn't give up anything. They shut down those 4th down tries over and over and over again. And it was really fun to see. It was fun to see the defense flying around. Brendan Jackson, man, he has never looked so good. Just an absolute monster, using his his quickness to just blow past Cal's very unimpressive tackles and to just make some plays. I think they gave him 2 sacks. I think he was kind of fortunate. He maybe could have got a half sack on one, but because Isom basically had him down, and he just came in and finished the job. But that his sack to start the second half was really impressive. He just blasted past the tackle and right into Garbers. No chance. Garbers had no chance. And that was really cool. And he wasn't the only one. You know, a lot of Stone had a nice game again, and props to the, you know, Armani Marsh. You know,
Yeah, he had a huge game
playing that nickel spot.
Yep.
He's really come into his own in that spot, and he's now got a few games in a row where he's playing really well, and that's really cool to see.
Yep. Yeah, it's I think the most impressive part for me was the interior of the defensive line did not get destroyed. And it's like I like that sort of sounds like a backhanded compliment, but I mean, we've basically spent 3 seasons really, if you count 2019, which you know, you probably should. I mean, we really were going on like 2.5 seasons basically of the defensive line, the interior especially, just not being particularly stout, you know, getting pushed around a lot. And to see them not get pushed around by a team that is, you know, a pretty physical rushing attack, you know, was really nice to see. You know, I've talked a little bit about how we just on the interior just look small. We kind of look like a Mountain West team taking on, you know, a Power 5 team when we're up in there. And they definitely held their own, which was even more amazing after that first Cal drive, right? Where on the touchdown, dude, like looked like he trucked about half the defense on his way to the end zone. So, you know, just really, really nice all around on the defense. And I also I got to give a shout out to Justice Rogers too, who has been, you know, one of our favorite targets when thinking about some of the weaknesses of the defense with, you know, some of his missed tackles and bad angles to ball carries and things like that. Man, he has been remarkably consistent this year, like to the point where, you know, and I don't know the finer points of linebacker play and run fits and things like that, but you know, I certainly no longer watch the defense and then, you know, can point to, you know, however many examples of him, you know, whiffing on a tackle or being out of position. You know, sometimes it seems like, you know, you play enough games at middle linebacker and you eventually just kind of figure it out. Alex Hoffman-Ellis, for people who remember him, he, you know, seemed like he was a little bit like that. He was kind of a mess for a while, real athletic guy, right? And kind of a mess, you know, running around all over the place. And then, you know, his last year, he really kind of put it all together and became, you know, quite a good linebacker to the point where he, you know, put together a nice professional career in Canada. So, yeah, it's really cool to see with Justice Rogers. You know, I know, you know, we've all kind of been waiting for it, and it seems like he's kind of figured it out and has been, you know, a pretty stout, pretty consistent player in the middle there, which has then freed up Jihad Woods to go do what he does, which is just, you know, run around and hit people. So, yeah, lots of praise to go around, man, when it comes to the defense.
Yeah, and it was also cool to see Jalen Watson get to make a play. You know, he doesn't get thrown at very much, and
No.
basically pressure forced Garbers into a tough throw on a 4th down, and Jalen read it all the way, made a really nice pick. And yeah, like I think the announcer said, yeah, basically Cal is giving the ball up exactly where they would have if it went incomplete. But it's like, yeah, but the defense loves to get those turnovers.
Yeah.
And you know that fires them up.
Yep.
You know that fires Jalen up. They did not throw that his way much at all. Like they were going to the other side pretty much all the time. Yeah, and Cal's receivers made a couple really nice plays, but they just weren't. Garbers was just unable to get the ball to them primarily. You know, he just couldn't get it out there. So all credit to that front seven, just making we had sometimes safeties. You know, Isom getting in there, pressures just mixing up, and just all around. You know, for the first time, you know, we saw the 60 minutes, and we saw the defense not get figured out or just not get tired in the second half, and not relinquish a lead. And because ultimately the offense was kind of more of what we've seen throughout the year, with the exception, I think, that primarily of Jaden quarterback making a couple plays and avoiding sacks a lot, so not setting drives back, and then obviously his new favorite wide receiver making one of the most incredible catches you'll ever see. So incredible that the ref on the field could not believe that it happened, and Thankfully, we have replay review now.
Yeah. For the first time in my life, I was thankful for replay. The ref is taking a little bit of stick there for that. I don't know, man. The ball was coming right at him. Two large players are coming right at him. He's kind of trying to both watch to see if he catches the ball and see if he gets a foot down and try not to get killed. So I'll give him a little bit of a pass. Give him a little bit of a pass on that one. So I'm glad they got it right. I know that the reason why I kind of thought, well, hopefully he'll take a look at this was even before they showed a replay. Jackson was doing a dance after he caught the ball. He was pretty sure that he had his foot in. If there's something I know, receivers typically know where their feet are. Like they typically know, like if they are inbounds or out of bounds. Like they are pretty good about knowing where that is. And he was adamant that he had gotten a foot down. So, man, good for him. And SportsCenter, he was the number one play on SportsCenter. Which is, look, you could, we probably could make light of it or whatever, like, oh, whatever, you're on SportsCenter. But it's like, man, that is a big fucking deal. It's like, that is your moment in the sun. That is the whole nation is watching you make this play. The whole rest of your life, you could be like, I was number one on, SportsCenter's top plays. Like it's a pretty cool fucking deal. So good for him, man. He's been through a lot. So I was writing I'm still working on my Monday after. I don't know how many people have sort of like kind of put this together, but man, this is his 4th year in Pullman. Year number 4, for a community college transfer.
Yeah,
like
he transferred in as a junior.
Yeah, he played in 2018. So he played a lot on that Alamo Bowl team, right? Played in I think all 13 games. And then, didn't play a ton, like in the sense of he wasn't one of the main receivers, but he played in every game, caught, 200 and some yards worth of passes. And then the next year they decide, well, we've got so many receivers.
And they have the 4-game. That's when the 4-game red shirt comes. Yep.
Yeah. So they decide, let's just play him 4 games. We'll kind of manage which games and then we'll redshirt him. Well, then last year happens, which is, whatever it was. And he had injuries too. He only played 1 game. So finally, 4th year in Pullman, 4th year, right? He's shown out, leading
just like all of us.
Yards. Yeah, exactly. So ain't no problem staying a little longer, and it's very cool for him. His dad died last March. Very, he's young. I'm 44, and his dad was 48. So, it's like that is too young to be dying. So, good for him that he's having a great season, and here's to hoping he's he gets some pro scouts to notice him. He's I think skill wise he's not all that different from Aesop Winston, and Aesop Winston has found his way onto a practice squad this year. So, hopefully that's at least in his future next year.
Yeah, I think overall though the offense has not progressed much.
No.
Cal's, as we talked about in the preview, Cal's defense is not very good this year, and WSU came out and put up 4.4 yards a play on that. At which for comparison, Cal had 4.3 yards a play in that game. So right. And they scored a touchdown on the first drive of the second half again, and then nothing again. So that's becoming that's still a concern, and luckily when the defense balls out, you don't notice it as much. But it's still just every other team Cal has played has done a little better offensively. Maybe Washington probably wasn't that great, but Washington's offense is nothing you want to compare yourself to either. So we're definitely not there on the offense. Max Borghi played. He didn't look 100%. He looked a little tentative. Maybe he didn't feel like, because I think that stiff arm, knowing he has it, allows him to be more aggressive.
Yep.
And so he was definitely more avoidant. Like he was trying to avoid getting hit a lot more. So, and he's already a kind of tentative to the hole because he's looking for the big play all the time. Right. And then you kind of doubled down on that, and he didn't. He had a couple nice runs, but he had a lot of bad runs. WSU actually had a lot of stuffed runs in this game.
Yeah.
I think Max was a lot of those.
Yeah. 12
stuffed.
stuffs.
That means no gain or negative play. So that's a lot.
Yeah, that was 1 out of every 3 rushing attempts, roughly. To go for 0 or negative yards. That is bad. That is quite bad. I don't know, man. The offensive line's still kind of a mess.
Yep.
It's not like Delora was constantly under pressure, so I guess that's good. But they're still, man, they are still struggling to be super effective, especially in the run game. So I don't know, man. We were promised a really dynamic, exciting offense when Rolovich was hired, and we just have not gotten that yet. We did get it. Seemed like we were getting it in the very first game last year.
And then even, for a bit against Oregon in the next game.
Yeah, it was, 38 points against OSU and, we
29 against Oregon.
Yeah, we were off and running and then, man, it is. So our points per game right now is the lowest for a season that it's been since Leach's first year. So Leach's first year was 20.4 points per game. We're currently at 23, and that includes 44 against Portland State.
Yeah.
Take that out of the mix, it's under 20 points a game. So that's
because you got
bad.
20 against FBS competition. 23 is your high watermark against Utah State right now.
Yeah. Yep.
And against Pac-12 teams, you've went 14, 13, 21 now.
Yeah.
Which is not what we're looking for, unless this defense is just going to be amazing every game.
No, I don't. I wouldn't want to count on that. I would not want to count on that. Back to the defense for just a sec. I mean, it is worth noting that the 3rd down, 4th down conversion rate was absurdly low. And that was kind of the main driver behind, kind of the low point total, right? Like if this was a normal game, if we didn't have maybe a couple touchdown lead, maybe, Cal kicks a field goal or 2 in there and things are maybe managed a little bit differently. But, in a couple of those 3rd, 4th down plays were really, really close. Like, I'm thinking of the one play where I think it was Travion Brown, right? Got his hand on a pass, like a screen pass. And that may have gone for quite a large play, if he doesn't do that. There was another play where I'm not positive this is a 3rd or 4th down, but I think it was. Another play where Garber starts to scramble and Jackson trips him up and he ends up half a yard short, right? Or a yard short.
Yeah.
I think that was a 3rd down.
It
So
was.
again,
they did convert on the next play. But,
okay. Yeah.
That was when I think they were like on their own 35 and they went for it. And so that's always, I love to see that. Good job, Wilcox. Normalize going for it on 4th and 1 from your own 35. Have some bravery to know that your team can get a single yard. But there's definitely bringing that many guys as often as they did. Against some quarterbacks that might backfire. It definitely worked out against Cal, but who knows? Going forward, if maybe that could come back to bite them. They'll give up some big plays because that's really what they didn't. They gave up one large pass play on like a really great play by both.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a ridiculous play.
Yeah, and so, but they didn't. Other than that, they limited big plays really well, and that's something they have not done in previous games. So that was good to see. So if they can avoid those and then have a good day on 3rd downs, which they did, because it's like WSU was 7 of 15, and their average distance to go was 7.9, and Cal's 3 of 15, and their average distance is 8.3. That's a game right there. Yep. And basically what happened was they were both bad on 3rd and long, but of 9+. But the short ones, when WSU was able to get to the short ones, they converted, and that kind of kept those drives alive. And then of course, that you run that beautiful play where you let your punt get blocked, so your defensive end pick the ball up and run it for a first down.
Just like we drew it up.
Yeah, credit where credit due. Got to give credit where it's due to Rolovich there for drawing that one up. He directs the punter to hold on to that ball just a little too long. And then
no idea what he thought he was doing.
Oh yeah, he just held it, and then he waited to punt it after the blocker released.
Yeah.
It was very strange. It worked out really well, but wow. Yeah,
and by the way, he gets credit for throwing a great block to Spring Stone. So
heck yeah,
I guess he totally. It's like the Dumb and Dumber scene, right? Like where you do all these bad things and then you totally redeem
yourself.
Yeah, that was I don't know what he was thinking. I mean, obviously that rugby style kick is not or Australian rules football style kick. I don't know. Is not a. It's not a new thing or a novel thing. Like people do it. I
remember Reed Forrest used to do it.
Yeah, I mean, but for whatever reason, he just held on to it for so long, and it was like, what are you doing? Like you've already bought plenty of time for your guys to get down there. Which I don't know. Like we joke all the time.
Maybe he was waiting to see if he had a running lane. Like maybe he thought he saw something and it just held on to it too long and it closed.
Maybe he got caught in between, and I don't know, man. This kind of stuff always just smacks of like special teams coach like justifying their job by coming up with something new or weird. Like instead of just making sure that you do the thing you do really well, and it's not like our punt coverage has been great. Like, it's not like we've been giving up punt returns or something. Like, I don't know, man. He's averaging, like, 45, 50 yards a kick. Like, he's doing a great job. Teams aren't getting any returns on us, so I don't really know what we were doing there. It might be what you said. It might just be if it's there, go ahead and run it. Which, I don't necessarily disagree with. I mean, I love, taking a look. But also, this is a guy who has played now 5 football games in his life and may not know exactly what a good look is for running. So I don't know, man. At least it worked out, I guess. At least it worked out.
So, I commented on Twitter, like you're never, like I've never seen that, neither of you. I had a Twitter follower comment that WSU has actually done this before, and I do not have a recollection of it happening. I'm looking at the play-by-play for 2007 Wisconsin WSU. That's what was cited. Let me give the guy the person credit.
You're not the only one. I have absolutely no recollection of this play either.
So I'm looking at the play-by-play on WSU's first drive. 4th and 4, Darryl Blunt rushed for 11 yards to Wisconsin 47. So did he was the ball blocked and then he picked it up and ran it for 11 yards? Darryl Blunt, of course, was the punter at the time. That could have been what happened. I'm just I'm racking my brain trying to figure that out. I don't remember, like, I trust you, man. Like I trust that it happened. I'm not questioning it. I'm just like, wow, like it's amazing what you forget, because obviously that game, it was a forgettable game. Other than like WSU was hanging for a bit and then got totally run over, but so that was but so funny if this actually has happened twice for the Cougs in like the last 15 years, like that's nuts. Okay, so it was at Keith Noren said Cougs did it against Wisconsin in 2007, Darryl Blunt. So, yeah, man, that's good memory recall. I don't know.
We're gonna have to find video of this now.
Yeah. I'm sure WSU has it somewhere, or Wisconsin does. But yeah, that's wild if it's happened twice. It's funny how the ball bounced just so perfectly for Ron Stone to pick that up, and then Stone just go ahead.
Sorry, I found the WSU play-by-play on that. It says Darryl Blunt punt blocked, recovered by WSU Blunt Darryl at WSU 42. Blunt Darryl rushed for 11 yards to the Wisconsin 47. First down WSU.
There you go.
It was blocked by Kirk DeKremer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice job. Nice job,
and
WSU.
the drive resulted in a touchdown. The very next play was Brink to Gibson for 38 yards, and then Dwight Tardy for 9 yards. Touchdown. 7-0 WSU. Suck it, Badgers. We actually had a 14-7 lead in that game. Man.
Yep. Then
my brain's not great. Like, I don't remember stuff like that. So.
But yeah, I can't believe I forgot about that. But good job at Keith Noren. Like, remembering that this has happened before. WSU has had a punt blocked and then still achieved a first down on that play. I'm curious how often that has happened ever in college football. Because I can't imagine it has happened very often. And now it's happened to WSU twice in a 15-year span, which seems like a higher percentage of than what you'd expect for it to happen.
Yes, it does.
I wonder if we'll forget about that. One, it'll happen again in 15 years, and we'll be like, oh, we've never seen that before. And then someone will be like, no, Cal WSU 2021, come on.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, yeah, and we're going to be like really old by then. We're just like, nah, you're not going to remember anything. But
yeah. We're, I don't know. It may be fair to say that we're paying a little bit closer attention now than we were in 2007. So,
yeah, I was.
You were still in school.
Well, I was student teaching, I think, when that one happened. But I remember watching it. Yeah, and I definitely wasn't. I probably was not paying as close attention to everything as I do now. And there wasn't, Twitter, where the video you can see over and over again all day. Yep. Thanks to Brenna Green for tracking that video down. I asked her to do it, and she probably was going to do it anyway, but she delivered it, and now everyone can see it because it's just a hilarious play, and it's Cal bullshit going in our favor.
Yes, coming back the other direction. That was extremely welcome. So, I don't know, man. How much other bullshit came back our direction in this game? Like, I'm trying
to remember. I think there was a replay that kind of went WSU's way on like Cal's first drive, like first or second drive, like their second drive, I think. I want to say I'm having tough time recalling now, but I think there was like a bad replay that went in our favor, and so yeah, I don't know. Like, I think the game was a pretty normal college football game after that point. But yeah, it's hooray for the. I mean, maybe Cal fans will be like, going 3 of 15 on third down is bullshit,
Yeah.
But yeah, because there wasn't a lot of like weird plays after that. I mean, you can't get much weirder than a first down on a blocked punt. But yeah, that was nuts. And yeah, we did it. We want to. That's one win. It's kind of funny now. You're looking at that Utah State loss, and you're like, man, if they would have held on to that game.
Yeah,
we'd be 3-2. You'd be right where you expected to be.
I know. I was just thinking about that earlier tonight, for sure. How much that's influencing our feelings about the season.
Yeah, how good you'd feel a lot better about getting to 6-6 if they were at 3-2 right now. Now you got to get 4 more Pac-12 wins with a lot of tough games left on the schedule.
Yep.
Beavs are looking tougher than they did at the start of the season. Stanford's looking better than they did at the start of the season.
Yeah.
BYU is looking better than they did at the start of the season. So those, and then Arizona still sucks, but you got at Oregon.
Yeah.
At who else is in there? Going off the top of my head, I could just look this up, but why would I want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's balanced out a little bit by Washington looking pretty bad, and
yeah, that's
just kidding.
At Arizona State as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Just kidding.
Yeah. But it's when you could get this type of win early in the season, it makes the rest of the season a little more interesting, a little more tolerable. You feel like you can like look forward to the games more, because I was already in a mode like coming into this game, like even that morning I wasn't thinking that much about it. Like it just wasn't on my mind that much. Like I wasn't chomping at the bit for the game to get started, even though, I got to sit at home and watch it. Our photographer canceled. And so there was no picture time. I got to sit and watch it. I'm thankful for that. Cause we had a lot of fun on Twitter during that game.
Yes.
But Twitter, the social media that lasts, that doesn't go down for a whole day and to the point where all of your employees can't even get inside the buildings. But yeah, so it's cool. They won. We're going to feel better about, feel a lot better about this Oregon State game coming in for homecoming, even though they're looking better. Although I'm not sure like a home win over, we just beat a team that had a close home win over Washington. So coming in with another team that had a close home win over Washington.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. Their offense looks pretty good, but, other than that, man, we'll obviously get into them on Friday.
Yeah.
So the football game, good job. A+.
Yeah.
One,
Woo!
a win.
That was
Yay.
fun. Yeah. Winning's good and fun. And it makes me smile.
You want to take a break, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit about our lovely coach and this deadline that he may be facing today?
Oh, man, there is nothing that I want to talk about more than our coach and his deadline.
All right. So, Jeff, you know what would have made Saturday even more perfect is if could have went out for a nice craft beer.
Yes.
After the game, or watched it in a place. I watched it at home. I was thinking this would have been really fun to watch in a Coug-owned bar.
Yes.
With other Cougs.
Yes.
Drinking some good beer.
Yes.
And if I was in Ellensburg, I know I would have done that at Pretty Fair Beer in downtown Ellensburg.
We absolutely would have.
Because you're sitting there, you can drink. They have a diverse tap list. You can have your hazies. You can have your clean IPAs. You can have a Saison from Holy Mountain. You could have Oktoberfest from Headless Mumby, the lager specialist. Pilsner from Three Mags, Structures beers in there, just all sorts of good stuff you cannot find anywhere else in Ellensburg, anywhere else in Central Washington. Just a lot of breweries that you're just not going to find anywhere else around there. And of course, they always have the Coug games on. You can watch the Cougs. It's run by Cougs. They're there having fun as well. So great spot. And I think if you're in Ellensburg and you want to watch an away game, that's because the Central Washington official alumni parties they don't really have them. I think so. You kind of got to find your own places, and sometimes that can be hard. But one place that you do know in Central Washington that will always have the game on and be pro Coug and also have great beer and food and wine and seltzer. Is Pretty Fair Beer and cider. It's kind of like cider has now been almost forgotten because of the rise of seltzer. Because
it's
people
true.
that drank cider because they didn't like beer now can also drink seltzer, and it's almost like I wonder which beverage took the bigger hit in their market share when seltzer came up. Was it beer or was it cider? I'd be curious to see.
I'd guess cider, man.
Yeah,
because like cider is basically I mean there are obviously there would be exceptions to this, but most of the people I know who drink cider do it simply because it's gluten free, and they can't have gluten, and so they would choose cider because that was something they could drink without gluten. Now that there are ciders, like a lot of people I know, including my wife, very much prefer seltzers to the ciders. So for whatever that's worth.
And Pretty Fair Beer has all of it. So
Yes.
yeah, you can check it out. All your beverage needs, and I know they're getting close to allowing all family, but right now they're 21 plus.
Yes.
They do have They have a beer club. You can sign up, and they give you a mixed 4-pack, a curated 4-pack every month with special beers that they drive to breweries and track down themselves. And I've talked with them, and they have good taste, and they're going to find good stuff. So highly recommend them. Fifth and Pearl in Ellensburg. If you're heading out to homecoming this weekend, on the way or on the way back, give them a stop. Drive past all the fast food places, get a nice bite to eat and have a beer. It'll break up your drive. I've done it. I did it for the first game of the year, and I did it on the way back for the next week. So it's nice to kind of break up your drive a bit. So I recommend it. And Ellensburg is that perfect spot to do that. And you can go to a Cougars bar that has nice beer, nice food, all that. So Pretty Fair Beer in Ellensburg. Check it out.
Love it. I love it.
All right, man. So what are you drinking?
My Pretty Fair beer of the podcast. Now I got to say I had high hopes for this because so as I was purchasing this at my local tap room, Rainier Growlers, there was a man sitting at the bar having a beer, and he said to me, "Did you get a Terraformation? It's life-changing." And I was like, "Actually, I did get one of those. It's life-changing?" He goes, "Life-changing." Like, okay. All right. So I am having the Terraformation, which is a double dry hop, fresh hopped, hazy IPA from SIG, which I know you know extremely well.
Yep.
I don't know if I would call it life-changing because I don't know if there's a beer that would change my life, but it's very good. It's very, very good. I love, first of all, I love fresh hop beers, just in general. I tend to think that's because it's unique and it's seasonal, right? So it's only like, once a year for about a month. And so since it's only really once a year for about a month, like it's this unique flavor and, it's just a flavor you can't get the rest of the year. Right. So I think that's part of why I end up enjoying it so much. Cause I do drink like drink so much other beer. It's like, to have something that's unique or different or, just sort of interesting flavors, is welcome. So I do love fresh hop beers just in general. And this one is extremely pleasant. I love it. I'm not very good at describing flavor profiles, but it is a very, very pleasant beer with lots of just sort of complex flavors. And yeah, it's awesome. I love it. It's really good.
Awesome, man. Glad to hear. I've been really impressed with SIG. I'm not surprised. Great brewer there, and they did a good job hiring their head brewer, Jeff Stokes, and he's crushed it. He's having a lot of fun.
He's a good dude.
Side note, before I talk about my beer, I found from 4 News Now highlights of WSU Cougars season opener. They have is Blunt getting tackled at the end and then pointing first down. Like, so you just see Blunt getting tackled and pointing first down. They don't have the full play, which why wouldn't you show that whole play? If you're gonna show it, So yeah, we have some video evidence of it. So and we have written evidence. It's happened before. Anyways, so what I'm drinking, I had to go with. I got a couple Berkeley beers. I know our friend Theo Lawson. He's from the Bay Area. Whenever I talk to him about beer, he always talks about the Rare Barrel. I think he's got a relative or a friend that's got a membership there, gets their like special beers and all that. So they're kind of a sour only brewery in Berkeley, and they were kind of one of the pioneers in that of just being like a farmhouse sour beer brewery. And they've always been known for some pretty potently sour stuff. But I'm drinking from them. As you know, I always say Grisette is life. So I'm having from them a Small Axe, ACTS, Small Axe, Grisette style beer aged in oak barrels. And it's got these like paper plane birds flying in the air on the label. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, this is from 2018. I'm guessing that's what that 18 means on the bottle. But yeah, it's very good. I love a nice oak barrel-aged Grisette. It's got good funkiness, not like the super tartness that you usually get from Rare Barrel. Very dialed in, very drinkable, nice, refreshing. 3.5%, so you can crush this 750 milliliter bottle, no problem. But yeah, they're out of Berkeley, an innovator out of Berkeley. So I had to give credit to all the Small Acts on Saturday that led to a Cougar victory, including.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Also, the paper planes reminded me of in a very intense Mariners game on Friday with Shohei Ohtani up to bat facing a 2-strike count. A bunch of idiots decided to throw paper planes onto the field. Also, very impressive paper plane makers, by the way. Because they got
to give them credit for that, I guess.
But so I just had to. That just reminded me of that. But then, of course, I do also have sitting on deck right here a Trumer Pilsner, a great Pilsner made in Berkeley as well. So cheers to Berkeley.
Yeah.
We still like a lot of those guys. Thank you for the win.
Yes.
As always. And thank you for going down to a place of terrors and winning Cougs. Go Cougs. And as always, that was my Pretty Fair Beer of the game. This beer segment is sponsored by Pretty Fair Beer in Ellensburg.
Yeah.
Proudly owned and operated by Cougs. All right.
In case you missed that part.
So, I'm sure they'll love us for having this segment right up against their sponsored segment, but we got to talk about it. Yeah, so obviously today when we're recording is the last day when you can get if you are a state employee, when you can get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and qualify for the mandate, the vaccination mandate for all state employees in Washington State. And as we know, Nick Rolovich is not only a state employee, the highest paid state employee. And so we knew he was going to get questions in his presser about that. And I think he did too. And then he just sits there. I will say the first one, he thanked the guy for asking the question.
Yes.
Just the standard one, are you vaccinated, whatever. And he gave the standard non-answer.
Right.
I'm following the procedures.
Following the
procedures.
Following the mandate.
But what happened, I don't know what reporter. Do you know who did a couple of the follow-ups?
Yeah. So he's a guy from I believe King 5 News in Seattle. So I think so he was asking the question and trying to think of, so like, I mean, obviously these reporters are all trying to think of creative ways to ask the question, right? Like how can I ask this in a way to maybe elicit a different response? And so so this guy was trying to do that, and he asked a couple things, but the big thing was that he asked should WSU fans be worried that you will not be the coach on October 19th, which was a good way to ask it, I think. And his response was, I don't think so. And I'm like, wait a minute.
It's not super confident.
That's not a no. Like the only thing that could, have him say for sure no would be if he was vaccinated, right? And and maybe he's just fucking with everybody. I have a hard time believing that. But
because it's causing him pain,
right? Like this is, it's
you
a
can
big,
see it on his face
when
he's getting these questions. He's so irritated by it.
Yeah,
it's also like, dude, you could just be a little more forthcoming, and it'll be all done.
I mean, I do appreciate that he's not making it worse by being an asshole about it. So I do have to give him some credit for that. I mean, I mean, look, like we've criticized.
Well,
him.
if he has been vaccinated and he's still playing this game, I will say he is being
yes.
But I don't know if that's true. I don't think he would be causing more pain for himself just for the sake of fucking with the media and fucking with all the fans.
Right. Exactly. And so I tend to think, the simple answer is the simple one, which is, that he's not yet vaccinated. As I suspected, he's probably going for an exemption. It would suggest that the exemption is still not been granted. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, look, nothing that I saw on Saturday changed my mind about how I feel about it. I mean, I wrote a couple weeks ago that he was in over his head and that he shouldn't be the coach anymore for various reasons. One of them being his, the way he has, mishandled the vaccination situation. Other things, including, just the team's performance and, yay that the defense played better. I think we noted that, things could have gone worse for the defense and it didn't, which is great. But also, there were some close plays, and it maybe could have been a bit closer of a game, and the offense is still a train wreck. So, nothing that I saw made me think that we're oh man, this ship is turning around, kind of like it was with Leach in say 2015, right? So, hopefully, I mean, we only got a couple weeks before we know for sure. It certainly seems like he's playing the get an exemption game, which, kind of as we've seen, that has not gone over very well for most people. They are being pretty narrow about who they grant exemptions to. And when I say they, I'm talking like entities in general. I'm not just talking about WSU. I'm talking about, companies and other government entities and, whatever, and people who have tried to challenge it have not really been very successful. So, and I tend to think that if he gets, turned down, that he's not going to be very successful either. It is kind of wild that it is now, going to be, by the time everybody listens, it's going to be October 5th, and we will not have an answer as to whether he has been vaccinated or received an exemption, which now means he is squarely in the, potentially losing his job area. So I don't know. I mean, obviously what I'm hoping for at this point is that, whatever he does, he loses his job, but, I don't know.
Yeah. And it's so the next question, I think it was the same person. They cited John Wilner article where Wilner said that, Rolovich is putting his career on the line. And they asked Rolovich if do you feel like you're putting your career on the line with this, and they just let it simmer, and he sat there for a beat, and then gave a very kind of just like no.
Yeah, the question asking technique was really good today. Because sometimes you just let it sit. I do that as a teacher, right? Like I ask a question and nobody wants to answer, so I just kind of let it sit. And if you let him sit in silence long enough, somebody's going to say something.
Yeah, that's the thing I always tell like younger journalists, younger interviewers, or just people who maybe don't do it for a living and have to do it. And even people who are doing job interviews, I tell them too, like just don't be afraid of silence and let things breathe. And that's when the answers can get more interesting. To Rolovich's credit, he kept it pretty about as short as you could keep it. But yeah, and then he was very happy when the next person asked about Oregon State. So
yeah, he was definitely ready to move on to Oregon State by that point. So
yeah, these are the days of our lives, like sand through an hourglass, whatever. It still keeps going. soap operas never end, man. They never get canceled.
No.
So,
No,
yeah, this also feels like it is never ending.
Yes.
And
But
just
it will
gonna
have
keep
an
talking
end.
about it.
one way or another.
Yeah, everyone was like, "Oh, we're going to know by October 4th." It's like, well, if no, we don't. So let's keep it going.
Yeah,
let's
I
keep being the. I'm going on a Sirius XM radio show tomorrow.
Yeah.
and they're gonna ask me about it, so that's gonna be fun.
I don't know what people. So really, the only thing that we could have found out today is that he's been vaccinated. If he's not, then yeah, WSU probably is starting a paper trail to notify him that he's not in compliance and that he's at risk of being fired and all of that.
Well, someone did ask him. They've heard that state employees who have not filed papers to show that they're in compliance are getting like notices.
Yeah,
and he said, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah,
to,
I know.
to that. So
I'm sure he doesn't. I believe him that he doesn't know what they're talking about. So if that's the case, we would not know about that, right? I mean, that would be unless he told us, that would be a personnel issue that we would not be privy to. So it's if he came out and said, "Yes, I'm vaccinated, we're good," then yes, it would be resolved. But obviously, it's not resolved. He's obviously seeking an exemption and is probably going to fight that up until the 11th hour if he has to. I'm sure he makes $3 million a year. I'm sure he can afford a very good attorney to try and fight it on his behalf. And good luck. The courts have been have sided with employers and government on this one pretty consistently so far. So I don't know that. I don't know that our football coach is going to be the poster child. What's going to be interesting is if he does get the exemption and they try to say that he can no longer perform his job duty, then of course it gets very complicated. And I think, as we've mentioned before as well, the other complicating factor here is that while all the focus is on Rolovich, it's very obvious that there are multiple members of his staff that have also taken the same approach that he has taken, as well as potentially other coaches in not in football, but in other sports, and even potentially other head coaches in other sports. So that's sort of part of the mess. Like, if let's say, whatever they do, let's say Rolovich is not vaccinated, does not get the exemption, and a bunch of his assistants also don't get exemptions. I mean, what are we, are we going to lose 5 of our assistant coaches? I mean, like there's only 11 of them or 12 of them. Like, man, we can't, and it certainly seems like it's the offensive staff, right? It's all the guys from Hawaii that seem to be in this boat. So what we're going to lose? We're going to lose all the offensive coaches. I mean, what are we dealing with here? So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's I don't know. It's going to get weird.
It's going to get weird. But one thing that just seems to keep getting better is WSU soccer.
Yeah.
Just rolling through the season right now. Just continues to not give up goals and continues to make incredible scoring goals. Like convert incredible scoring chances. It just a freight train and very impressive. Again, went to the mountain schools on the road and beat both Utah and Colorado. Both kind of were tough, hard fought, where it looked like maybe they were going to get, they were in control, but maybe we're just going to get kind of have another, tough draw or something. But they got a great goal from Grayson Lynch, against Utah, an impressive rocket from around the top of the box, and in the 77th minute to take that one. And then we're able to get 2 goals in the second half against Colorado. And so they get a 1-0 and a 2-0 win, stay undefeated in Pac-12 play, and just all around just looking very good this season, as we've said.
They haven't allowed a goal in something like 600 and some minutes or something like that, which is very good. That's very, very good. That goal by Lynch, by the way, so if you're listening to the podcast and you have not seen that, you should look that up. It's as good of a goal as you'll see pretty much anywhere. It's just she's coming in on the left, kind of a sharp angle, and basically she puts it in the upper corner on the opposite side, and really like. I mean, I don't know if there are many keepers on Earth that will save that. It just was a perfect shot, and really well placed and totally deserved, and that's kind of the idea with them, man. They just have so much attacking talent, and they just come at you in waves and waves and waves, and really it just sort of seems like with most teams, eventually they get you. Whether it's Lynch or Broussard or Frimpong Ellerson or Bennett, or it's just like they have so many legit attacking options that at some point somebody is going to get you. That game against Colorado, so I watched almost all of both of these games. In that game against Colorado, the first half Colorado put quite a bit of pressure on. I think Colorado had 6 or 7 corners in the first half, like quite a few. And they had some chances and not bad chances either. And I think the new keeper, the freshman, Cooper, I think is her name. She had to make at least one pretty solid save in that first half. But man, in the second half, they put an absolute stranglehold on the Buffs. I mean, the entire game was played almost in the second half on the Buffs end of the field. They just could not get out of their own half, and the pressure was just on and on and on. And first goal, was a well built up goal. Second goal was just Colorado kind of trying to push out, and they kicked the ball to midfield, and the ball was headed back toward goal, and I forget who scored the goal, but the WSU player was barely onside. In fact, Colorado's staff went bonkers. And ended up getting a yellow card. Coach ended up getting a yellow card for yelling at the ref because they were just insistent that she was offside, and she actually was not. They showed the replay. There was a defender kind of on the far side who was playing her on, and so she ended up 1-on-1 with the keeper, and did a nice little cutback and passed it into the net, and cool, calm, and collected, and really, really nice. I mean, we talk about in basketball how that road trip through the mountain schools is sort of a house of horrors. So. Really nice for them to, go play at altitude, and maybe not as much of a factor, in college soccer because you get unlimited subs, as it might be otherwise. But, just kind of very cool, man. They just are so deep, and that's the thing, man. The team that went to the College Cup, a couple of years ago was really powered by really a couple of stars, right? You had Gomer Stevens, you had Weaver, and then Bennett kind of playing a secondary role up front. They were kind of led by some stars, and they would really kind of hit you on the counter, right? Weaver would get out in front and run. This team, man, they beat you by controlling the ball, and they are so deep, and they sub people in, and it's like eventually the other team just kind of wears out and caves. So. Really, really exciting. I've watched a lot of WSU soccer over the last few years, and I know you have. I don't know, man. This sure seems like the best of the bunch. They might be legitimately challenging for a Pac-12 title this season. I know they're not ranked yet, which is sort of stupid, but they are very, very, very good.
Yeah, I don't. The rankings strangely have not been released yet this week.
Yeah.
But like last week, they were sitting at 7-1-1, and they didn't even get a vote. So,
I guess their non-conference schedule was pretty weak, but still.
Yeah, they're sitting at 58th in RPI. But also Gonzaga's ranked like 15th or something, and they're sitting at 60th in RPI.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So their non-conference schedule didn't do many favors, but they are sitting currently tied for first nationally in goals allowed, fewest goals allowed, with 3 on the entire season. So
it's not very many,
impressive.
Craig. That's not very many.
Yeah. Very impressive, and they got coming up this week. Looks like Stanford and Cal, both in Pullman.
Yeah. Stanford's
so,
a huge one. Huge.
So yeah, if you're in Pullman for homecoming, either if you can come in on Thursday, check out that Stanford game at 5, or stay a little later on Sunday and check out that Cal game at 1. Highly recommend. It's those soccer matches are really fun.
Yeah.
They do a good job. A lot of people go. It's a good atmosphere, and the team's super fun to watch. So
Yep.
check them out.
Stanford's still a top 10 team. They were higher than that before last weekend, and then they lost to who'd they lose? I don't even remember who they lost to now. But anyway, they lost. So, and I think it was their first loss of the year, if I remember right. So
Yeah.
Yep. So we're in first place, man.
First place.
It's gonna be fun.
Very cool.
I'm gonna be watching it on TV for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So check it out if you're going to Pullman. Highly recommend if you can swing it. Go check them out.
Yep.
You won't regret it.
Nope.
Yeah. Our other top program, volleyball, didn't have such a great weekend.
Yeah, womp womp. Sad trombone.
Couple tough losses at home to USC and UCLA. The UCLA one in particular, 15th ranked. They were up 2-1 and then lost the final 2 sets. That's always rough. So a tough weekend after they were on themselves a huge stretch of wins, including, maybe there's some letdown. You have that number 6. You beat UW in an epic match, and then you have a little bit of letdown that USC game. Then you just play a really tough team in UCLA the next game. That's all tough. But they got a chance to rebound this week at the Arizona schools. They've won there before, so they can get back on track. And then they have a long way to go left in the season.
Yep. Yeah, they'll be okay. It's the Pac-12 is immensely tough. It's always a bummer to lose games at home, and in front of that, the crowds in Boulder have been pretty great. But it happens. It happens.
It happens. Yeah, the crowds have been really good. That is always fun. Volleyball games are really fun. It's inside. It gets loud. The crowd's very close to the court and whatever you call it in volleyball.
Court. It's a court.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so they're very close and it's fun. But yeah. So yeah, what else? We don't have any questions this week, man.
No, I didn't ask for any, man. That was probably my fault.
I didn't ask for it either.
Should have asked.
So anything else to talk about? Football won. Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I want to thank everyone that donated to my homecoming charity raffle.
Yeah.
Picked a winner today.
Woo!
Brent, congrats. I think Brent already had lodging, so he able to have his sister come in for the game, which is really cool. Very cool that someone's getting to come to Pullman that was not otherwise going to.
Yes.
So that's awesome. The Hilltop was super accommodating about getting my hotel reservation transferred over to their name and making sure that they don't have to pay for it, all that stuff. So I told them what was happening, and they were very accommodating.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was able to transfer tickets, so it's all taken care of. So congrats, Brett, and thank you everyone else. $1,652 donated to various WSU funds.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was really cool. I appreciate that from everyone. I appreciate you, Jeff, doing the match, and I had a couple other friends. Emma's mom, who just gave money and said, told me to figure out what to do with it, and so I decided to award it as a match to someone.
Nice.
And then my friend Luke, who's from Britain, he's never been to Pullman, knows how much I love the Cougs, though. Has definitely watched Coug football games with me, as I've watched Aston Villa football games with him before. And so he kindly donated some money to WSU, and then I was able to match someone else's as well. So that was really nice. Again, thank you. Made me feel real cool that able to turn the amount of money I spent on my tickets and and hotel into much more money for WSU rather than just, donating that money, or what I could have done. We basically quadruple, tripled that money. So very cool. Good job, everyone. Thank you for that. So if you want to email us questions, we do answer them. podcastversuseveryone@gmail.com. You can follow Jeff on Twitter @podvseveryone. You can follow me on Twitter @theCraigPowers. And when Instagram works, I think it's working now, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have to get a saw to get into the server room. So an angle saw to cut into the cage to get to the server so that people can have their Instagram again. That's if because you just love your own tech so much, you refuse to use any other tech, and sometimes that bites you in the ass.
Sometimes,
but you can follow me on that app @Craig W Powers. I won't be going to the game this weekend. Obviously, that's why I gave my stuff away. But I'll be going to a wedding. My future brother-in-law and my future sister-in-law, I guess, getting married in a cool treehouse place. So I'm looking forward to that. That should be fun.
Yeah, that sounds badass, man.
And it's the Cougar game should be over by the time the wedding starts, so I will get to watch it. So I'm excited for that, and or hopefully I'll be excited to have done that. Man, we'll be back on Friday. You'll get our Oregon State game preview, and all that. And again, if you're listening to this before 4:30 Pacific tomorrow, and you have Sirius XM radio, I will be on their Pac-12 show with Jeff Schwartz and Sean Feldman. So check that out at 4:30 Pacific if you are listening to this on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And it's not 4:30 Pacific yet, and you happen to have Sirius XM radio like in your car or whatever. But yeah.
You fancy.
That's
good job.
I know. Jeez.
I love it.
Yeah, but they're still they're calling me on the phone. I'm like,
whoo,
I can't use all my microphone and everything. I'll have to get my MacBook out so I can run the sound through my MacBook, so I can use my microphone and my headphones and all that.
100%.
Yeah, I'm too used to that. I'm too fancy now. Just knocked over my microphone. Not fancy enough to have that, even though you got me one. That the thing that puts the mic right in front of your face.
Yeah, the boom microphone holder thing.
Yeah,
because
however my desk is designed did not fit their little clamps, and so I just have it on a little stand right in front of my face.
Yeah. Got to admit, it is nice. It is nice.
Yeah, it looks nice, and you look so professional.
Because I am clearly professional.
Yep. This is our professional podcast, and we always end it by saying, "Go Cougs."
Go Cougs, Craig. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
And get fucking vaccinated.
Please.